Hi, welcome to this week's Chinuch Hashkafa message. It's Parshas Pekudei, but I really want to actually start sharing ideas to do with Purim, which in itself is an important Chinuch idea to highlight. One of the things that plays an incredible role in the Chinuch of our children is the Chagim, the Yomim Tovim, the various special days that come throughout the year, the Chayas, the mitzvahs, the lessons, everything that's associated with those Yomim Tovim have a tremendous impact on the chinuch of our children, but it's as good as we make it. In other words, we can't just wait till a few days before to start talking about Purim. It's already within the Lamed Yom, it's already within the 30 days leading up to Purim. We need to start talking about it, getting exciting about it, sharing Divrei Torah and the lessons that we can learn for the Yontif of Purim. So here's a Dvar Torah that you can share with your children and the lessons and expand upon it this coming Shabbos or whenever you sit down with them to shmooze. We know that in the Megillah Esther, of course, the Gemara talks about why it was that the Yidden deserved the Gzeira of Haman and why they had to go through that. But in the simple pshat, what triggered Haman's anger was Mordechai. Mordechai, who refused to bow down to Haman. There was a decree from the Melech to bow down to Haman. Mordechai lo yichra v'lo yishtachava, says the Megillah. Mordechai would not bow down. He would not lay himself lying in front of Haman. But if you look carefully at the pasuk, the tense of the pasuk is a little bit strange. It doesn't say Mordechai lo kara v'lo hishtachave, that Mordechai didn't kneel or he didn't bow down. It says Mordechai lo yichra, Mordechai is not going to bow down. He's not going to kneel. Yichra and yishtachave is lashon asid, it's in the future. But of course, one of the pirushim on that is that it shows how foreign it was to Mordechai to even contemplate bowing down to Haman and everything that Haman represented. In other words, if it would just say Mordechai lo kara v'lo yishtachave, Mordechai didn't kneel or he didn't bow down, that would mean that it was a one-time thing. He made a decision not to bow down. But when it says lo yichra v'lo yishtachave, what it really means is Mordechai didn't even have to make a decision. It was abgefragt, as I say in Yiddish. In other words, Mordechai was never in a million years going to submit in any way to Haman and what Haman stood for. Therefore, it's not that he didn't bow down. Lo Yichra was never going to bow down in the future. It's impossible. It's an impossibility. He was in such a matzav, in such a situation, with such a mind frame, a mindset, that bowing down to Haman is out of the question. Now, of course, what does it mean he didn't bow down to Haman? What does it mean he would never bow down to Haman? It's not only, as the Medrash states, as the Medrash says, because Haman had an avodah zarah on him. It was more to do with the concept that Mordechai was not going to bow down to Haman at all. Not only things that were prohibited al pi halacha. Mordechai was not going to bow down to the goyishkeit, to the non-Jewishness, to the worldliness that Haman represented. We know the famous idea that the Gemara says that the Yidden were guilty of that. They did bow down. What does it mean that they bowed down? One of the things the Gemara tells us, of course, is that they went to and they derived benefit from Nehenu misudase shal oisa rasha, from the Su'udah of Achashverosh. But we also know that the Medrash tells us that the Su'udah, the meal of Achashverosh, the banquet, was not treif. Everything that was served there was 100% kosher with the best hechsher. As the Medrash explains in different places, it talks about it in greater detail. But the fact is they went there because they went and they were immersed in the Su'udah of Achashverosh. They were immersed in worldliness. They gave the worldliness and materialism, the chashivus, the importance, the focus, as if that will be the source of their happiness, as if that will be the source of their success. And when you didn't do that, as we know, they become disconnected. And that's the concept we have to talk about and share with our children in the modern day society. Or we also have Hamans. We don't have Hamans always necessarily who want to kill us physically. But we have the non-Jewishness, the goyishkeit, which threatens us spiritually. And sometimes doesn't threaten us to do things which are asr, which are against Shulchan Aruch. But it threatens us to have our focus, to be immersed in gashmis, in weltishkeit, in materialism. Where yes, we do all the right things, we make brachas and we eat kosher, but where's our focus? Where's our mindset? Where's our passion? Of course, as parents, we need to make sure and reflect, what do we show to our children? What are we showing? Are we showing that our passion is in Yiddishkeit? Are we showing that we're not that interested In the Gashmis of the world, of course, we have where to live, and we're comfortable in Mirz Hashem, and we have what to eat, and we take care of ourselves. But what is the source of our bracha? Do we show our children and do we discuss with our children that it's bitochen, it's a munah that brings bracha? It's not going with Achashverosh. Happiness comes from, simcha only comes from Torah mitzvahs, not from a big meal, not from taivas, not from hedonism and materialism. And that we should aspire and we should talk to ourselves and discuss to become like Mordechai, not just that we do the right thing, but lo yichra v'lo yishtachve. We don't even contemplate. We have our whole mindset, our whole focus, our whole passion only in Torah mitzvahs, only in Yiddishkeit, only in Lakus, only in things that are connected to Torah and mitzvahs. And of course, that is exactly what the Yidden learned to do. The Yidden understood when they saw Mordechai and they saw the Gezerah happen. Then they reconnected with Mordechai. They reconnected with Mordechai with Mesiras Nefesh. They did a full tshuva, and that brought the nest. That brought the absolute miracle of Purim. A short Dvar Torah, Purim Vort, which carries with it a very fundamental lesson, something that we should reflect on, and of course, bring and talk and discuss with our children of and what they can give them examples of how they can learn from that as well. Have a good day and a good Shabbos.